So again, I'm Jennifer Eubank. The hips don't lie. Thank you so much for coming here. We're in our seated position, sitting nice and tall, rooting into the floor, rooting into the earth, and rooting into the strength of our body by sitting nice and tall. And maybe close your eyes for just a moment and just notice how your seat feels. How does sitting here feel? What are your hips saying to you as you sit here? Is there anything you need to change? And if so, take heed. Change it. And then as you're ready, let's bring the hands out to the sides. And let's bring them up overhead and then back down. Inhale as we lift up. And exhale as we root down. And stay nice and rooted as you lift. Inhaling as you lift and exhaling as you go back down. And you might want to exhale as you lift and inhale as you lower. That's fine. That's your decision. Most people inhale as we lift and exhale as we come back down. Let's make that our last time. And let's just take a moment to notice what's going on. Notice if there are any changes in our hips just from that little bit of work. And then let's bring the arms up again. And then bring your right hand down and plant it in line with your hip. And then reach up with the other and then curve over to that hand that's on the hip, on the floor. And as you curve over to that side, make sure the hip that's on the same side as the arm that's reaching is grounded. The sit bone is nice and rooted, giving your hip the foundation it needs. And next time you inhale and exhale, let's make our way over to the other side. Breathe as you reach and breathe as you settle. Inhale, reach, exhale, root. Let's do it one more time each side. Next inhale, come up and over to the other side. The hand lands in line with that hip. And we reach and maybe we go a little further this time. Let's make our way over to the other side. Next time you inhale, let's make our way up and exhale that hand down. Just float that arm down, hands back on the knees, and sit nice and tall. And take just a moment to notice, has anything changed at all in your seat and in your hips? And as you're ready, let's do some twists. So again, sit nice and tall, hands out by the sides. Inhale the arms up overhead. And twist to your right. Left hand lands in front. Right hand lands in back. And settle in. Just let them land wherever they land. And then sit up a little taller and see if you can twist a little bit further. And then next time you inhale, let's come back to center and we'll exhale to the left. Right hand lands in the front, left hand lands somewhere in the back. Let them land where they land. And then after a couple of breaths, see if they can go a little bit further, allowing you to deepen your twist, but stay nice and rooted in that foundation. Sits bones are even, hips are even. And on your next inhale, let's make our way back to center. And we'll exhale to the right one more time. Hands land where they land. Maybe this time that front hand grabs the opposite knee and gently pulls you a little bit deeper into the twist. Maybe. And then as you're ready, next inhale, let's make our way back to center and exhale to the left. Let the hands land where they land. Settle into your foundation. Breathe as you lift. Maybe go a little deeper. Maybe bring the hand to the opposite knee and coax yourself a little bit further. Shoulders are relaxed. And then next time you inhale, let's come back to center and exhale those arms down. And then just land them on the knees and take your gaze straight ahead and notice what's going on in your seat after that little bit of work there, a little bit of play. And then as you're ready, let's come into table pose. And you are welcome to use the blanket under your knees for your table. I'm going to go ahead and set mine aside. And I will come and do this from the side. So you find your best table. Take the time to set it up correctly. Because if it's off, then that's going to affect your hips. So the hands are under the shoulders and knees are under the hips. And maybe wag your hips a little bit as you settle in to a good solid table. And spread your fingers nice and wide and soften your elbows a little bit to keep your head straight in line with your spine. And then when you're ready, keep your gaze the way it is and then just let your spine curve to the front of the body. So keep your head pretty still. So the spine curves to the front of the body, and then keeping your head still, let the spine curve to the back of the body. And then we'll keep doing that. And then as you start to progress, then the head and the neck will start to come in on the action a little bit. But the first couple, I try not to move my head and neck too much. I want the spine to be the initiator of the movement. I even think about moving the spine. I start the movement in the middle of my spine and arc from there. And round towards the front of the mat, the body. So it goes down to the mat, and then I round towards the top. Inhaling with one motion and exhaling with another. And you may have a sense, well, you definitely have some sense of rhythm. But it might be a fast rhythm, it might be a slow rhythm. Try not to make it too fast though. And if you are going with some relative speed, let's all slow it down these last couple of cats and cows. And next time you find yourself in your cow, let's hang out here for a few breaths. And take your mind into your hips. And make those hips as wide as you can without stressing them. So if you go too wide and you hear a little eek, they're not lying to you, they're saying you've gone too far. So listen to the messages that the hips are giving you and take heed. And then as you're ready, let's go back into another cat and arch your spine up towards the ceiling and the hips tuck in a little bit. Keep those elbows soft so they start to straighten, but don't hyperextend them. We don't want to hurt other joints at the expense of the joint, the star player, right? And then we'll make our way back into table. And then from here, let's bring our hands forward a couple of inches and we'll do some rocking horses. So shift your weight forward and shift your weight back and go back and forth. Fingers spread nice and wide in the front to protect the wrist joints. Knees are somewhat wide and my feet are together, but you can have your feet apart, it doesn't matter. Inhaling with one motion, exhaling with another. Notice your spine probably is starting to feel longer with each sequence, each round, and maybe your hips are starting to get a little bit wider. And you can play with those two ideas, length and width, working together hand in hand to enhance one another. And at some point, let's take a pause in either end of our rocking horse. So I'm taking a pause here in the front, I'm kind of in a kneeling plank. I'm careful to keep the knees, my elbows soft and my fingers spread wide, and my knees are rooted into the floor. My belly is drawn in, my head is lifted, and I'm shoring up all the muscles in my torso, my legs, and my glutes. Maybe go a little deeper to accentuate that. So strengthening the muscles around the hip joints go a long way in protecting those hip joints. Your joints are only as strong as the muscles. And then, so I paused for a long time. You might be still moving. You might have started to move again, or you might have come back to this point, and we'll go back and spend some pause time here into the other half. And notice that my head and my hips are in the air. So this is more like a puppy. And after a couple of breaths, see if you can start to bring the hips down so that they land on the heels, and see if you can land your head on the floor. And if not, just put some hands under there, either fists or flat. And so then we've turned our puppy pose into a child's pose. And if child's pose is not there for you this morning, you can always turn it back into your puppy, and you're always welcome to go back into that rocking horse motion. So we'll spend the next few moments doing whatever you want. Moving, resting in puppy, resting in whatever version of child's you want, extended or true, and you can always grab that blanket and put it in between the heels and the hips for extra support for your hips as you settle into this child's pose. Child's pose, this is going to be our feature pose next week, child's pose. We will explore all the different versions of child's and what they can do for our hips. For now, we'll just visit for a couple more breaths. And then as you're ready, use an inhale to make your way up to table. And then use your next inhale to make your way up to downward facing dog. So you may want to, from table, bring your hands up a couple of inches before you do that. You take your time. You figure out how you want to go up into your first dog. And let's ease into our dog. So try not to go into your 100% right away. And let's put a little bit of light, gentle motion into it. Coming up on the toes and bringing the heels down. Maybe walking your dog, bending one knee and then the other. How are you going to deepen your dog? What do you need to do? What are your hips saying to you? This is a great classic hip opening and hip strengthening pose. And remember, anytime you want to come down and rest, do so. So you can rest in table, you can do that, rocking horse, or you can rest in puppy or child's. And then whenever you're ready, you can come back up. And we'll spend about the next minute or so exploring our downward facing dogs. So you continue playing with your dogs. This is a playful pose. And you're welcome to explore all the different versions that you know and you love. I have just learned this new version from Annie where I'm going really wide. My hands and my feet are as wide as my mat, which means my hips have even more room to widen, which then makes my spine get a little bit longer. I love that wide version. I'm going to take a rest and come back down because I'd like to go back up into a more three-legged version. And I think a three-legged version is not as safe from that wide version. So I'm going back into a regular dog, and I step one foot in the middle and then bring the other up, extend it way up and keep both hips facing the floor. Then I bend the knee, both hips still facing the floor. Then I open out. And as I open out, my leg is still lifted. And I'm opening up the outside of my hip, the inside of my hip, the inside thigh, and then come back and straighten. Both hips are still facing the floor as I come back down. I'm going to take a rest before I do another one. You might want to, if you're doing your three-legged version, you can go from one side to the other, or you can take a little rest in between, your choice. And we'll spend about 1 more minute exploring our downward facing dogs. Take your time. Evolve your dogs. How are they growing? How are your hips responding? What do your hips need to grow, to expand, to be safe, to be stable? We'll talk a lot more about dog in the coming weeks, but I want to keep our practice really, really simple today. This is our simple foray into our hips don't lie. So when you're ready, make your way back down to child's and take a few breaths in child's. And then when you're ready, come back up into table. And when you're in table, wag your hips a little bit. And then let's bring our forearms down into a Sphinx table. And then extend one leg behind you and then the other, and you land in a Sphinx plank. Stay here for a couple of breaths. It's a nice way to strengthen the core, strengthen the legs, strengthen the glutes, all those muscles that surround the hips and protect the hips. And as you're ready, lower slowly down. And now we have landed in Sphinx. And let's stay here for just a couple of breaths. Just long enough to go, okay, we're in Sphinx. I've got the lines, I've got the shape, I've got the foundation, and it feels pretty awesome. And then as you're ready, start to inchworm your fingers forward. And as they come forward, the hands move, the arms move, and you start to uncurl slowly but surely, and then land your head on the floor, on your hands. So bend your elbows, stack your hands, and put your head on top of the forehead, your forehead on top of the hands. And then bring your feet as wide as the mat. And then bring your hips from side to side as you inhale and exhale smoothly and gently. And then come to stillness with those hips. We're in crocodile pose. And just take a few moments to notice the structure, the shape, the breath. Connect with the earth in this new stance. And then when you're ready, let's turn over. We've got about 10 more minutes. So we'll turn over. Now we're lying on our back. And let's bend the knees, feet on the floor. And have your block nearby, just in case. Now you might not need that block. If you don't want to use it, don't get it. But if you think you might need it, have it close by. And let's start with the knees bent, feet on the floor. And then let's lift the hips up and then bring the hips back down. So root into your foundation, your bridge foundation, and use the inhale to lift the hips up and use the exhale to bring them back down. Slowly but surely, one vertebra at a time. The inhale lasts as long as the exhale, so the entry into your bridge lasts the same amount of time as the exit. And we go back and forth. And as you continue to go back and forth, notice, can you lift your hips a little bit higher each time? Is it getting stronger, your bridge? Is it feeling more rooted in the feet and in the back and the shoulders? Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And next time you exhale and lower, let's lower all the way down. And let's hang out here for a couple of breaths. And then notice if you need to change anything with your foundation. So if you want to bring your feet a little bit closer to your bum, and if you want to change something in the distance between your knees and your feet, you can do that. Make sure your knees and the feet are the same distance apart, and we'll do 3 still bridges. So when you're ready, you've got that foundation intact. Use an inhale to lift the hips up, and use the exhale to settle into your bridge. And then use the next few breaths to fine-tune things. Root a little bit more deeply. Lift the hips up a little bit higher. Maybe bring the hands under the bottom and interlace the fingers and bring the shoulders a little bit more into the pose. And whenever you're ready, use the exhale to lower 1 vertebra at a time. And remember, we're doing 3 of those. So whenever you're ready, you can use an inhale to lift up again. And spend that time fine-tuning. And think about not just lifting the hips, but lifting the belly, lifting the ribs, lifting the chest, even lifting the shoulders away from the floor as they root into the floor. And do all these things help those hips? And I'm on my 3rd one. And I'm coming out of my 3rd one. I'm using my exhale to slowly come down 1 vertebra at a time. And once I come out of my last one, I stay here for just a moment. So I don't want to make any changes until I get used to this change. And then bring your feet as wide as the mat and windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And then come back to center as you're ready. And then let's take your right ankle, bend your right knee and put your right ankle on your left knee. And this is a nice hip stretch. For some, this might be enough. If you want, you can press onto that knee and gently coax it further away from the body and open up that hip a little bit more, and that might be enough. You're also welcome to pick up the bent leg that's on the floor and interlace the fingers around that thigh and gently pull that structure a little bit deeper into the body. Listen to your hips. Listen to how far they're going to let you go. They're not going to lie to you. Don't listen to your brain. Don't listen to your ego. Oh, I can go really far. Listen to your hips and honor those messages. And then after a couple more breaths, let's bring that structure back down. And then let's do a twist from here. I just learned this from Natalie yesterday. This is a really cool twist. Bring your arms out to the side, so we still keep that leg up on the knee, arms out to the side, and then bring that structure to one side. So that foot probably will land down to the floor. And then you can turn and look over the opposite shoulder. It's a nice little twist. Breathe through it. Nice, gentle, smooth inhales and nice, gentle, smooth exhales. And then when you're ready, use an inhale to bring that structure back along with your head. Take a moment back in this position before you bring that foot down, and then bring your left ankle to the right knee. Snuggle in. Figure out how intense you're going to make this stretch. Is this enough? Are you going to put on some pressure on that knee? Or are you going to pick up that structure and bring it closer into your body? Breathe as you do it. Listen to your hips. Listen to where or how far they're going to let you go today, where they'll let you go. Breathe. And then when you're ready, carefully lower that structure back down to the floor, and then the arms come back out to the sides, and then lower that structure down to the right. And once it's landed where it's going to land, settle into your upper body. Make sure it's safe before you turn the head, if that's an option that you're going to go with today. Nice, gentle inhales and gentle exhales, smooth breathing. And notice the relation between that top hip and the shoulder you're looking over. And when you're ready, brace yourself against the floor with those arms and those hands. Bring your head back and use the belly to bring that structure back up. Stay here for a moment. Bring that foot back down. Bring the arms back by the sides. Symmetry is slowly but surely returning to our body. And let's help it along. Next time you inhale, bring those knees into the chest. And let's rock from side to side as you bring the knees and feet a little bit wider perhaps. And then as you're ready, come back to stillness. Come back to center. Bring those feet back down. Now, if you would like to continue doing yoga, you can turn us off and continue doing yoga because your body is primed for it. But if you want to take Shavasana, extend out and go into Shavasana. Tune us out and take some time to Shavasana. Otherwise, if you're ready to get on with your day, you can roll to one side and slowly come up and come back to a seated position with or without your blanket. You decide. And reconnect with your seat. Reconnect with the earth. Reconnect with the strength of your body. Reconnect with your breath. And reconnect with your emotions. And notice how you're responding to this seat. And as you're ready, we'll bring our hands to heart center. May you all be safe. May you all be happy. And may you all be free from suffering. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Sun and Moon. Namaste. Thank you, thank you. Again, my name is Jennifer Eubank. I'll be here each Friday at 10 o'clock, and we'll build upon this the Hips Don't Lie series. And next week we'll probably, that's right, we're doing Child's Pose. So we'll probably be mostly on the floor again. So thank you, thank you, thank you for coming. Oh, it's over. Oh. Thank you, everyone. Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you, Annie. Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you for coming. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great day and a great weekend.